Hello everyone and welcome to my presentations about the basics of digital multimeter. I am Raimundo Tolosa and I will be your guide today for this topic. So let's begin with what is a multimeter? A multimeter is a device used to measure mainly the AC DC voltage, the current and the resistance. Some multimeter have a special features that can measure the temperature, continuity circuit, diode checking, capacitance, and frequency measurements. So there are two types of multimeters, analog and digital. What is the difference between analog and digital multimeter? Digital multimeter have numerical displays like digital clocks for indicating the quantity of voltage, current, or the resistance, while the analog multimeters indicate these quantities by means of a moving pointer over a printed scale. But both multimeters work the same. But most electricians today use digital multimeters because of accuracy in measurement readings. So here are the parts of our multimeter: the LCD, the leads or the probes, rotary switch or the dial, and the input terminal. So how to use a multimeter? So first, just connect the black probe into the COM port or to the negative polarity, and the positive or the red probes into the positive polarity or into the voltage. Be careful because if you place the lead in the wrong port, it can cause permanent damage to the meter, like as you see in the other picture, multimeter is burning. So how to use a multimeter for voltage measurements? First, determine whether the application you are testing uses AC or DC voltage, and set the dial to appropriate functions for VAC or voltage AC and voltage DC. Plug leads into the port as you see in the figure 1. Apply the leads to the circuit and read the measurements in the LCD. It's the same for DC voltage, but apply the red probes into positive polarity and the black probes to the negative polarity. For current measurements, set the dial to appropriate functions AAC or ampere for AC and ampere for DC or DC current. Then set the appropriate range on the dial. Put the red leads or probe to A input terminal and read the measurements on the LCD. There are other ways for current measurements or for testing the current. You can use also the clamp meter as you see here in the figure 3. Just open the clamp by pushing the lever. Close the head around the single conductor and release the lever. Just make sure that it is completely round or in contact into the conductor to have an accurate measurements. Resistance measurements. Always disconnect the power supply or switch off the unit or your equipment before you measure the resistance. Set the dial to ohms. Set the appropriate range for resistor measurements. Then apply the test leads to the components that you want to measure and take the measurements. For continuity measurements, it is used to check continuity flow in fuses, switches, wires, and conductors. Set the dial to continuity as you see in the figure. Put the leads into the conductor or fuse that you want to check, and after that you will hear a beep sound if the continuity is good, and no sounds if there's no continuity. For capacitance checking, make sure that your capacitor has been discharged because you know capacitor will store energy. So discharge first, and after that you can measure the capacitance. So set the dial to farad, connect the test leads to the capacitor terminals, and take the reading. If the reading is similar to the rating listed in the capacitor, means the capacitor is good. For frequency measurements, not all multimeter include the frequency testing function. So this is special features of the testers. To check frequency, set the dial to Hertz. Plug in the leads and connect to circuit. Read the measurement and compare the frequency listed for the component under test. I hope that you learned something today and you know how to use the multimeter. And if you have any questions, just ask, and thank you for listening.